Can we survive the 6 hours of Qatar? Probably not. So that was turn 1. Everyone but one Ferrari hypercar made it unscathed. It was actually quite impressive. Taking it very easy on the start. Don't want to do anything too stupid in my first stint. Don't want to take any damage or anything like that. So just taking it pretty easy, not looking to get involved anywhere. But yeah, not really spoke about the event yet. So a minute in, we may as well. I mean, as we go side by side with this Porsche, who is actually the main car we're battling for pretty much 6 hours in this race, both on track and in strategy. But it was genuinely a really good race. Loved every second of it. Massive fun. Would recommend it. But yeah, it was definitely challenging. As you see us now coming through into sector 3 for the first time. Right, no, never mind. We're going to jump back to turn 1 as we get very close up behind this Porsche now. Looking to make a move on him, but a sensible move, because this is only the first 20 minutes of this race of 6 hours, so don't want to do anything daft and completely ruin this stint. As throughout this video we're going to be jumping around quite a lot to condense it, as we both go wide there into the gravel, which was a difficult challenge here. Now he's gone wide enough to give us an opening round the outside of him, and yes, we do get that move stuck. Well, just about. As we go into the next right-hander, we're going to finish it off, hopefully down the inside. Not a lot you can do around the outside of there. Pretty low grip on the outside. When my pace is starting to ramp up a bit, I'm getting into that rhythm. And as you can see, there's a couple cars with a Cadillac ahead and a Ferrari just in front of that. It would kind of keep him with as he looked for a move maybe around the outside, similar to what we did on him, but just didn't have the overspeed to get it done. And now down the inside, maybe not close enough again. So I mean, we're doing well, holding on to P13, started P12, didn't really talk about the start, qualified P12, so lost a position off the start, but it's nothing major. As then there's that BMW GT3 maybe just gets in the way a little bit, gives the Porsche an opportunity to sling one down the inside and get that move done. I wasn't the happiest about that, but I wasn't going to get too annoyed. Bear in mind there was still like 5.5 hours to make something happen on this guy. And genuinely at this point I believe that our pace was pretty strong. And my teammate, who was in my ear the whole time that I was driving, was telling me that I was kind of having pace and I was on par with what I was doing with the car with the P9 through down to where I am P14. So there's definitely a challenge on for a top 10, which is obviously what I was shooting for. Now several laps later, still right on the back of this Porsche, not really being too aggressive. I'm taking this opportunity to sit in the slipstream and save, as for some reason here, towards the end of sector 3, he just moved over to the right and lifted. I don't know if it was a massive fuel save, but it was a big lift and I wasn't complaining. This is the moment where I really realised, because these three in front of us are 11, 10 and 9, or 10, 11 and 12. One of them, I'm not sure. But this is where I realised we've actually got pace with these guys, because I've managed to catch up to them. It was about a 10-second gap or something. I've pulled them back in whilst they're fighting, and I actually have pace over them, so we just speed up the footage, get it round sector 3. And as we now head into the very the penultimate corner, coming into the final corner, we are really looking for a run on this Cadillac if we can. There's nothing going to open up through the final corner, but maybe with a bit of slipstream we can look for someone going into turn 1. Probably not though, to be honest, if we listen to that V12 to then pan back around to face forwards. As there's that, another BMW GT car is actually going to meet us in the braking zone, as that Porsche, not the Porsche, the Toyota locks up there, locks his front right I think, and that lets the Cadillac sneak through. We got a little bit close with that GT car, and now we hang on to the back of this Toyota for another lap, hoping to look for a move at some point. Would love to get past this guy, as it would put us in a pretty strong position. As I was on the quali tyres, forgot to mention that. I was on the tyres using in qualifying, so a bit of wear, but hard on the front left, as most people were running. So I mean, the tyre grip was there, but these were tyres that were burning, so I was willing to push quite hard in sector 3 and at high speed corners, where later on in the race we were saving a lot more on the tyres. So I think that did give me maybe a little bit of pace advantage in some areas of the track, but nothing too massive. As it was just, I was trying to hang on, hold on to slipstream, so I could then reap the benefits of a save without falling off the back of too badly. Because this did actually allow me to save a lot of fuel, which, as a Lamborghini spins out there, which this fuel saving is quite important in this race. Obviously, we wanted to aim for about 28 to 30 lap stints. That was kind of where we were at. As the Toyota got back through on the Cadillac during that Lamborghini spinning incident, now the Cadillac's running wide in the gravel. Might be able to look for something into the final corner, and if not the final corner, maybe turn one with some slipstream, as this Caddy seems to be struggling a little bit at the minute. As he misses his braking zone, all locks up and just flies it wide. And now this is a drag race for P12. 6.5 litre V12 versus 5.5 litre V8. Which one will win? The Screamer versus the Growler. Can we hook it down the inside? Bit of a side draft. We're going to commit to it and down the inside on the brakes a little bit later. We're side by side all the way through turn 1. And then is he going to be able to come back at us in turn 2? Maybe, but no, we're going to slam the door shut. Big Union Jack just coming across his face. And yeah, that was a pretty good move, to be fair. And that was a very good move, and that got us back up into P12 where we qualified. Now we got our sights set on the Toyota in front, which I think we're just going to sit behind him for a couple more laps, get a bit of saving, because we've got the pace with him, so I'm not annoyed about just sitting behind him because he's not massively slow. So yeah, we can just enjoy this tow, get pulled along for a couple of laps, and hope that we have, you know, just a clean race. We've got some more Corvette traffic coming up in front of us. And now down into turn 1, Toyota locks up again on the front there. We maybe try and sling something down the inside, but ultimately he's just going to still have a better exit. We weren't quite close enough as the Corvette GT car goes wide. And now we go round the outside of him. Yeah, took that unfortunate pit stop opportunity to refill the fuel tank, change the tyres, so I've got fresh tyres, full fuel, and the call immediately was, after my teammate did a couple of quick calculations and mental maths, yeah, burn these tyres, let's go get these laps back, and that's what I'm going to try my best to do now. So currently following P2, I mean I'm obviously dead last, P16, following P2, Then I've got some pace, and then eventually this yellow Ferrari came in, who was P15. Granted, I'm still a lap down, so you know, got to pass him twice. So let's see if I can't get that one done. So there's one pass, but got to get another on him to actually get the position, so keep pushing. And now out of the final corner, we've got a run on him. This is now fourth position. This is the second overtaking. Here we go, massive overspeed using the slipstream. I think we're running a little bit less downforce as well, which is giving us a big advantage. And round the outside into turn one. Can we stick it? Hanging on all the way. We're going to go side by side now into turn two. I've got the inside this time. I'm going to try hang it round the outside. And we're just going to manage to squeeze him out of room on the outside and hold on to that position. And that is now P15. Back up a position, but I will push it all the way until the fuel tank runs dry, trying to make as much ground back as possible. So let's keep pushing. And now we come in for a fuel stop, changing the left side tyres and a driver swap as well. So Elliot's first time in the car, and he was definitely struggling a little bit as the sun was going down, because he kind of got the sunset stint. So he was struggling in places with the sun being in his eyes, temperature dropping throughout his stint. But otherwise, I'd say it was his first ever stint in a hypercar race, his first ever time driving hypercar in a proper hypercar race. He did a really good job. So fair play to him. And I mean, his goal was just to try and hold the ground and just hold position really. And yeah, there you see that's where the sun was probably in his eyes and you couldn't really see what he was doing. But his goal was just to hold the ground that I'd gained, and hopefully his modified strategy after the crash in my stint hopefully brings back the positions. As here we see the second place Peugeot going around the outside, and that just put him offline a bit and not a lot of grip. But he did a good job with not losing his head. He kept it cool, he just got it spun around, took it rallying, and eventually got it back on track. Got back going, but no, it was a really good stint for him. So very happy with where it left us. After pit stops, we ended up in P13, but we are still half a fuel tank out of sight, obviously. But the Porsche from the start of the race came back at us, and I'm pretty sure he's on fresher tyres than Elliot was at this point. But it was a brilliant drag race all around turn 1. But ultimately, the Porsche got the better of him on the better tyres down the inside. Couldn't really do a lot down the outside of turn 1 on the worn tyres. Once again, he just lifted off and let us back through, which I still can't work out why he did it, unless he got an illegal overtake for cutting that corner. But here was an incident. BMW GT3 in front just doesn't know what he's doing at all, that Beamer, and Elliot does a really good job of not getting involved in that and not taking damage. Hurt the front a little bit with the lockup, but it's better than losing the front end, because that GT3 was just all over the place. And now we see the Porsche not trying to take advantage. It's not really a place to be going down the inside, so he backs out and waits out sector 3, probably looking for a run down the main straight or into the final corner, as those were really the only two valuable overtaking zones on this track, just for reasons of not wanting to send anything too stupid. So yeah, he just stays behind through sector 3, gets close. Definitely got a little bit more grip than us at the minute with I think fresher tyres and more fuel, makes sense. But here he looked down the inside, didn't want to go forward there, holds himself off, and there you see that yellow Ferrari coming again, who is actually about to be lapped, I believe, by us, as he just locks up the front tyre and the Porsche slings on down the inside. Yeah, that's the move, but it happens. It wasn't really too big of an issue. We're hoping the strategy will come back to us, and now he gets a bit of slipstream as well. And now, after a very solid first stint in the car, Elliot is called into the pits to swap back over to me as the driver and put some fresh tyres on everywhere, and obviously full fuel. So I hope you all enjoyed that pretty much whole outlap of just V12 noise, because this car sounds so good and I had to show it. I can't not just have some silence and just pure V12, can I? It's got to be in the video somewhere. But back to the racing. So we came out the pits in P14, well I came out of the pits in P14, and it was another stint of just do what we can, see where it brings us, and don't get into any more crashes, no more accidents. And because I mean the sun's going down now, we're starting to knock on that third hour, which is when it really started to go dark. So let's try and look after these tyres, because we made a call during this stint to take three mediums, which is everything other than the front left, for another stint with me still as the driver. So I'm doing a double, and we're doubling most of the tyres, which can change the front left hard for a new hard, as we think as the temperature drops, tyre wear should be dropping, so it should be manageable to take the front right for a double stint. And that was kind of our thought process of trying to save a bit of time and a couple of tyres for later on in the race if we could push a bit harder on the final stints when we decide to use those. But yeah, just enjoy the race and enjoy the Valkyrie. Is now coming down the main straight properly in the night time. This Toyota coming out the pits, this is actually full position as they go a bit wide on their cold tyres and manage to slip down the inside of them. I don't know whether they had an accident or a crash or something went wrong, but they ended up on a bit of a different strategy as well, really suddenly, about 3.5 hours into this race, which was a bit strange. But I mean, P12 now, after a couple of other guys have pitted, so it's going well. But I mean, it's just a case of now, can I keep this guy behind, because I'm not pushing that hard because I'm really trying to look after my tyres. So I really don't know if I can, and that was, I was a bit worried about, can I keep it behind, because this was the guy who was knocking around that P10 area earlier before the Corvette crash. So I mean, I have pace with him, but I think obviously their different strategy now allowed them to push a little bit harder. And yeah, eventually I came into the pits for the end of my first of the double stint, and now I've got to see if I can't take the tyres for a whole nother stint, as grip is now hard to come by. So after having the most stupid accident ever, and what happened was, coming into the pits, on my steering wheel, it's the SF1000 wheel, and if you know that wheel, you know that there's two bigger buttons up top. On the left there's a neutral button, on the right there's a pit limiter button. So as I've come into the box, my brain, which is now 3 hours and 40 minutes into this race, has meant to press the neutral button to not stall. What it's actually done is press the pit limiter button, so it's disengaged the limiter. So then when I left the pits, it was unrestricted and yeah, stop and go penalty, which cost us a lot of time. But oh well, silly mistakes behind. We are currently on board with a Mustang GT3 car, just so we can get a bit of a better look at the Valkyrie as I go down the inside of him. But even after that, we still came out next to the Porsche again once he pitted, so I'm still in P12, he's in P13, and this is actually a fight that kind of went all the way to the checkered flag in a way, or to the last pit stop in a way, as I would love to keep him behind, but my tyres, I mean, you can almost see it on those rear tyres there. You could actually see just the level of horrificness that I was dealing with. They were completely destroyed, and this was the most sketchy drive I think I've ever done in sim racing. It was so slidey. There was no temperature. My tyres had no life left in them. I had a very near incident with that GT3 Mercedes, and now this is second place in the Porsche behind. He was actually getting a little bit impatient, flashing his lights like, yeah, I have blue flags, but blue flags don't mean I'm going to move out your way. And in front, we were lapping this Cadillac. And I'm in a bit of a sandwich here, because this Peugeot's trying to lap me, I'm trying to lap the Cadillac, but I'm trying to do it safely, because now there's a GT3 in front of the Cadillac as well. So the Cadillac gets held up behind the GT3, and we'll see it in a second as we go through the perspectives, but you see there, he gets a bit held up by the GT3. And my snap looks a bit weird until we see this view, where the Peugeot actually hits my rear right corner, and that then put me into a slide that would have slid me into the middle of the track. So I thought, instead of taking everyone out, I'm going to dive left off the track. So that then cost us the position to the Porsche. But oh well, I mean, as you see here, we weren't that far behind him, as there he is, and there's us, coming through the first corner a few laps later. But it was a pretty uneventful stint other than that, and then we come in to give the car back over to Elliot for his final time in the car for this race. So the plan was for him to now take over, putting new tyres on, and then I'd do the final stint. And now the biggest thing that Elliot had to wrestle with in this stint was the unbelievably cold temperatures. The tyres just were not heating up, and as you saw coming out of the pits, he had a massive slide getting in the power. But forget all of that, because once again the Porsche is in our rear view mirrors, and Elliot doesn't really have the grip yet. He's not got any temperature in his tyres, and he's still trying to get the warm up in. So once again the Porsche does the exact same move that it did on him earlier, sends him deep into the final corner, slinks it down the inside, but once again it was just kind of, don't fight it too hard, it's not necessary, we'll just relax behind him if we need to. But it was a pretty chill stint, but it was another very good stint from Elliot. He did a very good job in this race, and it was very impressive. And now he brings the car into the pits for the final pit stop of the race, and hopefully his last time in the car. And now there's about 10 minutes left to go, and we've kind of just settled into P13. Not a lot we can do this late in the race, but Porsche is long up the road. If you watch this Peugeot in front, he goes weirdly wide. And then, yeah, I learned that I lagged out